This is by far the most expensive Ninja Turtles figure that I ever bought, but is it worth that hefty price tag? Or are premium import level Turtles figures not really worth it? Let's find out by getting this LingJiHun or Metytoyz Raphael out of the box. There are two trays here. The first tray has Raph plus some accessories, although mine seems to be missing this throwing star here, so that's unfortunate. But in this first tray, you get this snarling head sculpt with the full bandana that came on the figure, and I am a big fan of this style for Raph, but this is the only head sculpt that has it. You get another snarling head sculpt with the more traditional mask, and I really like the texture on these head sculpts, especially on the top of the head. They're very unique. You get a neutral face, which is really nice. There's something about the expression that just works for me, and it seems like we don't usually get great neutral faces for this character. Lastly, you've got this kind of maniacal head sculpt in a laughing or maybe yelling expression, but it works, and you get to see all of his pearly whites. For the masks, you get 3 of these swappable mask ties to have the tails of the mask flow in different ways, an essential part of any turtle figure, but it's nice to see a premium one come with a few different swappable options. To round out the first tray, you get these swappable pouches for his utility belt, a radio or walkie-talkie of some kind, a droopy and flat slice of pizza, a kunai, I believe, a throwing star with a motion effect, and remember, I think there is supposed to be one normal throwing star here that mine didn't come with, a turtle comm with a lot of great detail. All of these accessories actually so far have had a good amount of detail to them. I'm not sure what this is, maybe a collapsed version of the turtle comm, though they don't look like they're the same thing in different versions, so I'm not sure. And lastly, what great Raphael figure would be complete without a fedora so he can disguise his big green turtleness? Plus, when I picked this up, I noticed it had some weight to it, and I think this is a magnet inside the hat. I think it's meant to go with the neutral head sculpt. As you can see, it doesn't hold super strong, but there is a slight pull there when I get the head and the hat close to each other, so I think that's pretty neat and unexpected. Under the first tray, you get this little baggie with his pants and trench coat. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't like to watch a lot of reviews because I don't want my videos to be influenced by others. So I actually didn't know that he had a full disguise, and I'm extremely pumped about that fact. The pants are pretty basic, nothing really to write home about, potentially too baggy, but we'll have to see how they look on the figure. But the trench coat is made with a really nice textured material that looks great, and there are some good details here with the buttons and stuff, but it's not wired, so you're not going to be posing it or anything like that. To round out our accessory slate, you've got the bottom tray with 9 separate pairs of hands, no mismatch hands, they all come in pairs, which is awesome, and there is a perfect variety of both functional hands like grabbers, as well as fun emotive hands like peace sign, hang loose, in addition to the fists that come on the figure. In this tray, you also get Raph's sai, which I think they did a great job with. Sometimes these can be too stubby or too pointy, but these ones seem to be just right. You get 2 of these sai stabby effects pieces, and last but not least, a Mauser head that Raph helped remove from its body. Oh, and I ended up finding the missing throwing star. It was wrapped up in the figure and the plastic somehow, so here's that. Here is the Metytoyz Raphael, and the first most obvious thing you notice about this figure is that he is a big, chonky boy. I would say this design and body mold are more similar to like the Michael Bay style turtles, and I personally have no problem with that. I like that we're getting a lot of variety in turtle designs these days, and I'm going to do some size comparisons later in the video so we can see how Metytoyz differs from the others. Aside from the size, the other really prominent thing to notice about this figure is all of the fine sculpting and detailing throughout the skin, shell, belt, and pads. You can see here on the arms all the musculature, the variation in the paint application, and the scaly texture or whatever it is that they gave his skin. The belt has some simulated leather and stretchy bits flanking the signature R belt buckle, and the shell, in addition to being filled with battle scarring, has a much more realistic and kind of like pointy variation in the outer rim of it than most Turtles figures have. I can totally see why this design might not be for everyone, but I think it's great. I love the way this Raphael looks. With such a big, bulky figure, the obvious question then becomes, how well does it articulate? Starting with the neck, there is an impressive amount of movement in basically every direction, looking up, looking down, side to side. All of it moves really well, so the head and neck articulation are great. In the arms, it kind of has this fake butterfly joint thing going on that a lot of the companies are doing, where it's really just a loose joint with a plastic ring hiding the joint. Regardless, the shoulder movement is pretty decent with a T-pose that goes up to here and a passable amount of cross-body range, especially for a bulky Turtles figure. In the chest, there's a cut right under the pecs, allowing for some ab crunch. I would say it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's a heck of a lot for a Turtles figure, most of whom have a torso that is quite literally a giant brick. Plus, you get some additional rotation out of that joint, as well as a side-to-side rocking back and forth. One gripe I have is that the hands are pretty difficult to swap. They look a little small compared to the rest of the figure as well, and the ball joint at the wrist is very noticeable in some positions. The legs, unfortunately, do not have a drop-down hip, which is a big missed opportunity because he's really not able to kick straight forward very much without his leg moving off to the side, but the range out to the side is pretty much on par with most other figures. He's got a pretty basic ankle rocker with a little bit of rotation as well, and toe articulation with a kind of unsightly pin on the inside of the foot. Lastly, we've got to talk about the elbows and knees, which are usually a problem area for Turtles figures, but I think between the soft material they used for the pads and this big extended joint they came up with, which is mostly hidden by the pads anyway, this turtle is able to get past that 90-degree mark in both the elbows and the knees, which is awesome. With drop-down hips for a Turtles figure, I'd give this articulation a 9 probably, but without those, I'd say this articulation is maybe like a 7 out of 10. It probably is the best articulated turtle that you can get though. Speaking of other turtles, here he is next to the last Ronin Raphael, and he's quite a bit taller than that. He towers over the 2012 Raph, as well as the 2003 Super 7 version. And of course, he's a total monster compared to the Joy-Toy Raphael, plus this little rubber ducky Raffy who I just wanted to include for the fun of it. The Metytoyz Raphael measures in at over 6.5 inches tall, so a bit out of scale for 1/12, especially for a Ninja Turtle, because they are usually a little on the shorter side. One final size comparison, because I think they're a good benchmark, here is Raph with a standard size Marvel Legends Bruce Banner, my most random MCU figure I could think of. Before wrapping up the video, I have to test out and see how he looks with the disguise on. Right off the bat, I was wrong, and the pants are definitely not too baggy. He's got some thick legs, and it actually is relatively difficult to get these pants on, especially when you're doing it on camera, which does add an extra degree of difficulty to everything, but the pants are pretty tight and tough to get on all the way, especially around the shell and the backside. The jacket, likewise, is pretty tight, and with such a bulbous shell in the back, it's hard to get the arms through properly and get the jacket lined up over the shell. I kind of feel bad for Raph. He's probably never comfortable wearing this type of jacket, if I'm being honest, and it really doesn't close all the way or wrap all the way around his body. I think they could have made the jacket just a little bit more loose. It does look good, but it doesn't close easily. You probably could force it closed and use the belt to hold it, but leaving it open like this is probably for the best. Here is the final ensemble with the hat, jacket, and pants. It looks pretty cool, but it's tough to get on, so I'm not sure how much I'll incorporate this into my display or my poses. This is an expensive Ninja Turtles figure. I got mine from the Toys in the Box website, and it cost around 130 bucks. So that price tag alone might justifiably scare off some collectors. I know for me, I am back on my Raph only BS with this line because shelling out, pun intended, the green, pun intended, for all 4 turtles just ain't happening. However, if you love the Ninja Turtles and you don't mind a higher price tag, I'm not sure if you'll find a better Turtles figure than what Metytoyz has given us here. The design, the sculpt, the accessories, even the articulation, as imperfect as it is, really makes this a standout figure. I have 20-something Raphaels, and I'm pretty sure this just became my favorite one. So to answer the question at the top, is it worth the hefty price tag? I think so. And I really hope more companies jump in and start making some high-end premium tier Ninja Turtles figures like this one. But what do you guys think of the new Metytoyz TMNT figures? And don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course subscribe to see more action figure unboxings and reviews just like this one.